So this is the next step in creating Mozzarella Ashbadger, and here we're going to add support for navigation. It's kind of important in a web browser. To do this, we're going to add a toolbar. We're going to call it navigation. I'm going to add a back button for navigating backwards. I'm not setting an icon yet. We'll need to find them in the fugue set shortly. Add some helpful text for the status tip. And we're going to add this to the toolbar. And there we go. Back, back, back. So currently we just have the text. It'd be nicer to have a button. To do this, I'm going to go back to the fugue icon set. I'm going to get a nice couple of icons for back and forward arrows. And I'm also going to get one for cancel or stop. There we go. So let's set the icon. Again, they're in a folder for me called icons and then just the name of the file. So I use ospath join to create that path. That's great. So we've got the icon. Again, we need to set the icon size here because the icons are 16 by 16 and it's expecting them to be slightly bigger. So I'm just going to duplicate the back button and now create a forward button, or next button as I've called it. Just change the arrow around the other direction. There we go, back and forward. Now the buttons don't do anything because I haven't connected the signals. Another key feature of a web browser is an URL bar, so you can type the web address in and see the web address of the current page. So to add this, we're just going to use a QLineEdit widget. And there we go. Back, forward, and the line edit widget, which will be our URL bar. Also going to create a stop button here, which allows us to cancel the navigation. So if we run that, so now we're going to connect the buttons up so they do something. So we're going to connect the signal from the button to the slot on the QWebView So in this case, we connect to self-browser stop. For a full list of the slots available on the QWebView class, you can just look at the documentation. You can see they have them for back, forward, print, reload and stop. So I've connected up all those signals on the other buttons, and I'm now going to add a reload button and connect that up to self-browser reload. At this point, we've got a pretty functional browser. The reload works, the browser works, we can reload the page, we can go back. What doesn't work is the URL bar. Now the browser component has an URL changed signal that we can connect to. We can then forward this to a local function where we update the URL in the URL bar. So the signal passes the new URL, and we can just take that, converting it to a string and setting it onto the URL bar. You'll notice that the URL bar automatically ends up at the end, which is a bit ugly. So what we can do then is just set the cursor location to the beginning of the line at 0, and that then scrolls it back to the left hand side to show you the beginning of the URL like normal. Now, a nice feature would be to be able to see whether we're on a secure or insecure website. We're not going to do this properly, checking certificates and all this sort of stuff. What we're going to do is just look at the URL that we're using to access the page and look whether it's a HTTPS or HTTP URL. So first of all, we're going to have to put the icon on the toolbar to show what it looks like. Now, to add an icon, we're going to use QLabel. It's a bit strange, but QLabel allows you to set a pix map, which is a image basically, over the entire widget. So we can use that to set our icon into the toolbar. So now we've put our no SSL widget in there, and you can see it on the toolbar. So now what we want to do is to be able to connect to the signal that lets us know that the URL has changed, and there we can check to see whether the URL is a secure or insecure URL. So if we look at what's coming through on that signal, we're actually receiving a QURL. Now QURL contains a attribute called scheme that tells us whether it's a HTTP or HTTPS or FTP or whatever type of URL. So we can just check for that. So if q.scheme equals HTTPS, it's secure. Again, this is not a very good way to check if something is or is not secure. Demonstration purposes only, no liability accepted. So what we're going to do is, depending on that, we're going to set the icon to something else. So here we go, just copy this down, the bit that we've used to set it before. So that's our insecure lock, and then we're going to put our lock that is SSL. So let's run that. Okay, so now it's saying no. I'm going to go to Facebook because that's something that I know is HTTPS. And there you go. It's now changed to the nice secure icon. Backwards and forwards. Awesome. So that's working. Now, at the moment, the URL bar is just showing us what the page is showing. But of course, for a normal URL bar, you should be able to add an URL, enter an URL in there, and have it navigate to that page. So to do that, we need to be able to connect to the return pressed signal on the Q line edit. That lets us know when someone's typed something in and hit enter. And that's when we want to navigate. So we're going to connect that to a local function called navigate to URL. And this is going to receive a signal when return is pressed in the URL bar. Now, unfortunately, it does not receive the string, does not receive the content of what's actually in the Q line edit. But since we've stored a reference to the URL bar itself, we can just pull it out of there directly. So we're just going to do QURL self URL bar text to get the text from the URL bar, convert it into a QURL, and then set the URL on the browser. Try that, google.com. Oh no, okay. So you need to do the HTTP at the beginning of it. So that's kind of annoying. So let's just check for that. What we can do is get the text, turn it into a QURL, and then check for a scheme. Again, just like we did before. So you can see when you type the HTTP in there, you get the scheme comes through correctly. When you don't, it comes through blank. So that's cool. All we need to do then is to set the scheme on the URL if there isn't one already set. We're going to set to HTTP by default. So let's just do that again. So when I'm typing google.com, it's replacing it with HTTP and automatically opening that page. Interesting, when I type Facebook, it actually requests Facebook with HTTP, then Facebook redirects to HTTPS. Okay, finally we're going to add support for navigating home. So we can add a home icon to the bar. So that's it.